Hello, everyone. We have now come to our final day of reflections in our pilgrimage journey here in Poland and Bosnia. Although today we end of our pilgrimage in Croatia in Dubrovnik. My main focus of the reflections today will be taken from the first reading of the Mass, which is from the book of Ezra. Actually, we have already encountered the book of Ezra yesterday, and therefore it is recommended that you read these readings first, even yesterday's one, before continuing with this reflection. Because I'm quite sure that we are not too familiar with the story that we encounter from the book of Ezra. For example, who is King Cyrus and who is King Darius? Both names which are seen in the book of Ezra. So, quickly, in a nutshell, the very basic fact that you and I ought to know about Israelite history is that they were constantly under attack. Actually, it's still true today, isn't it? Constantly under attack by neighboring countries and on a larger scale by empires. And the other important fact that you must know about their history is that they were sent into exile for 70 years when the Babylonian Empire overthrew the whole country of Israel, and of course, including many of the territories around the area. To keep the story short, anyway, every empire can only be in power for so long. Because eventually, the Babylonian Empire was defeated by another greater empire that came along the way. So, in our story, in our episode today, the Persian Empire is now the current boss, defeating and conquering lands, including Israelite lands. So, technically speaking, Israel is still under foreign authority. Their two new bosses are Cyrus and Darius. So King Cyrus was the one who overthrew the previous empire, establishing the Persian Empire, and it was Darius who further organized and unified the empire, building on Cyrus's foundations. However, despite being conquerors and as well pagan kings, both kings, Cyrus and Darius, decreed that the Israelites will be able to return back to their homeland, back or stop their exile, which they encountered during the Babylonian Empire. But not only that, the Persian Empire will help the Israelites to rebuild their land, rebuild their temple, which had been destroyed by the Babylonians. And get this, the Persian Empire will even foot the bill for the rebuilding. Wow, I will vote for them, man. But the logical question you might want to ask or have in your head is, but how is that possible? I mean, like, why would the Persians want to do something like that, isn't it? To keep the story short, this can only be possible by the power of God. And of course, also by the very few faithful Israelites who never strayed from God's commandments, who were faithful to God even during the exile, and they were very fervent in praying and always kept up the hope. And therefore, God heard the prayers of these faithful Israelites while they were in exile. And as a reward for these people, God touched the hearts of the pagan kings, Cyrus and Darius, to allow these faithful people to return back to their homeland and even pay for the construction and, in fact, even protect the Israelite people. There was an official decree. We read back in the first reading today. And all this is possible because God can do anything, but also because the people had faith and never stopped praying. And therefore, after the exile, this is the reward for them from God, going back to their homeland and God rebuilding their lives for them. So, what is the relevance for us today? Now that we have come to the end of our exile and we are going back to Singapore, but really, this passage reminds us that God can do anything for us only if we remain faithful and prayerful, and He will ensure that we will get to the promised land, even if it means through weird or unexpected ways. I mean, like, who would think that King Cyrus and King Darius would support the Jews? So, don't doubt how God can work through weird ways to give you your reward, to give you what you ask for. Because God can touch even the hardest of hearts. And I can tell you, Cyrus and Darius, they're not gentlemen, because if you want to conquer lands and defeat empires, they have to be hard men. So God can touch hard hearts. But also similarly, as we come to a close, may whatever is still hard in our hearts slowly soften. And just as how Cyrus and Darius helped the Jews who had no relationship with them, so can we continue to extend our love, continue to help those even whom we do not know, and of course, those whom we do know, and sometimes we don't want to help, we need to change that we become loving to the people around us, regardless of who they are. In this church that we are in right now, the Church of Saint Blaise, who is the protector of Dubrovnik, and this church is named in his honor to protect the people here from all harm and to protect ourselves. But we also know that Saint Blaise is the patron saint of throat ailments. So may we always have the voice to speak words of love and encouragement and thanks, and even in times the voice to say sorry when we are in the wrong. So as we come to a close, may Our Lady of Medjugorje continue to intercede for us to the divine mercy always. And on this note, using my throat, thanks to Saint Blaise as well, I thank all of you for this accompaniment. May we continue to keep each other in prayers, and we continue to share our lives, and myself continue to provide hopefully good spiritual reflections to all of you. To our next pilgrimage, hopefully soon, we'll see you then. Let us continue to keep up the faith like the faithful Israelites, and knowing that God will reward us in His time, in His way. God bless always, and see all of you soon again. Bye bye, and praise be Jesus Christ. Amen.